Hello everyone, Danielle Manuel, Gareth Wheeler, and Terry Dunfield here with you up at the Kia training ground. And this has felt like the longest week ever between games. We are looking forward to that matchup on Sunday as Toronto FC is heading out to New York City at Yankee Stadium, of course, for the second leg of the Eastern Conference semifinals. And we were participating in training viewing today, and we noticed that the Reds had shrunk the training dimensions here in order to replicate the field at Yankee Stadium. We know that it is the smallest pitch in MLS. So do you think that that's going to help them?
100%. For me, it just shows how another example of how meticulous the coaching staff is, and every little detail's covered. By doing this, you get a feel of what it's going to be like at Yankee Stadium. Also, it focuses you in on your job, not only on the pitch then, but it just gets you in the mood for that game, and also off the pitch when you go away. You're starting to think about how the game might be a little bit different at Yankee Stadium in a smaller field.
There's an absolute benefit, but the one thing that it can't replicate is the all-action style of play that we will see this weekend. Games at Yankee Stadium over the course of the season have rendered or averaged 4.7 goals per game. Over the last 6, just check it out, like they've been up 5 and 4, and it's been crazy. There was a game on the season that New York City FC shipped 7 to the New York Red Bulls. So that's one thing, no matter how much you train, that you're going to be able to recapture, and that will be the true challenge come this weekend.
Well, that was something that I said to Greg Vanny today. How important is the first 20 minutes of the match going to be? He said even more so the first 10 minutes of the match.
Yeah, I expect an extremely high-tempo, frantic start. I expect New York City to just change the way they play, that mentality. Yes, they need goals, but I think they were a little bit too defensive-minded coming here. They switched to a 3-4-3 system, which almost invited TFC onto them, and TFC accepted that invitation extremely well. They were in their faces, which meant their quality into their front three wasn't great. Yes, Zavaleta and Nicky Hagglund did a wonderful job on David Villa and Harrison and Michael Bradley back-checking, but for me, I think New York City will bring in players like McNamara. I think Lampard, he's now fully fit in such an important game. He'll come in, so I expect a different game in the first 20 minutes. Coming through that unscathed is so important, and also I think TFC will get opportunities, and when we do get opportunities, it's important that we're clinical.
But they're going to have to be selective in when they push forward. Over the first leg, TFC found a lot of success putting pressure on the ball and playing a high-tempo style against a veteran and older team. I don't know if that is going to be their mentality heading into Yankee Stadium. You might need to pick your spots a little bit more, especially with a 2-0 aggregate lead here. You can't just be playing recklessly with like a chicken with your head cut off here. There's going to have to be a proper balance. Yes, you want to take advantage of the fact you're more athletic, you're younger, you're fit, and use that to your advantage against New York City, but I think that you need to control the tempo of the match a little bit more, maybe be a little bit more reserved.
Yeah, and Yankee Stadium suits that perfectly, that, you know, if you sit back, get into their blocks, your distances are smaller, the balance will be right. TFC are so difficult to break down, and we've seen that, especially at the beginning of this season, that's defensive shape also is a great springboard for their counterattacks to then hit them on the break with Javinko and Altidore. And I agree, I don't think it'll be a crazy kamikaze press for 90 minutes, but there will be opportunities. New York do give you chances that when if TFC do get their press right, that will lead to opportunities as well.
New York scored 35 goals at home over the season, Danielle, and Terry's watched a lot of tape, and he can echo these sentiments. A lot of those goals were scrappy, like a bounce here, a bounce there. It wasn't fluid build-up that created the goals. So you're going to have to be wary of the player that's behind you. The back three are going to have to keep the play in front of them at all times. So it's going to be a lot of responsibility on Drew Moore, Nicky Hagglund, and Eric Zavaleta. All were immense last Sunday. You're going to need another likewise big performance.
Second ball is so important. I think Nicky Hagglund and Zavaleta, they'll win that first one. Drew Moore will pick pieces up in behind, which is important, but also Michael Bradley doing that great job of back-checking, screening the back three, and picking up any second balls.
Well, you just listed essentially all the starting 11 from the past few games, so do you stick with that personnel going forward, or if you're Greg Vanny, do you take a different approach and perhaps put in someone like Will Johnson that will give you a different option in the midfield?
That's the one change that may be contemplated right now, just because Will is a veteran guy. He's won an MLS Cup before, and he's probably a better defensive player to have and stick in alongside Michael Bradley than, say, an Armando Cooper or Jonathan Osorio. But at the same time, you just can't give up too much attacking-wise, because if you score a goal, then you force New York City to go out and score 4 goals. So if I was coaching this team, I'd keep the team like it was on Sunday and understand that as the game goes on, you can then shift and then play defensively. My worry is that if you start playing defensively too early or from the get-go, it's more difficult to just turn it on and find your attacking football from there. It's much easier to take off an attacking player and add on a player defensively.
Well, it's difficult to say that, right? Because, I mean, New York City is fighting for their lives at this point, and when you're playing a desperate team, you don't know what to expect from them.
No, and I think they're hurting a little bit. I think you see with Frank Lampard's comments this week that, you know what, this wasn't us. This wasn't how we play, how they played at BMO. I think Patrick Vieira's body language afterwards showed that, you know what, maybe they got it a little bit wrong. If TFC sit back and invite a real attacking New York City team onto them, that leads to problems. I think they need to just get that balance right. And with changes, they have so much momentum with this group. I think the players fit this 3-5-2 system extremely well. Yes, Will Johnson has experience. He's a two-way player. He'll give you a little bit more defensively than maybe Jonathan Osorio, but I wouldn't expect that change maybe to 60 minutes.
I just don't want to see the team sit back and invite too much pressure, Terry.
Yeah, you could bring in Benoit Cheroux. He's so good in close quarters, and that'll suit Yankee Stadium. He's got a ton of experience. You've also got Tosaint Ricketts, who's been a handful whenever he's come on. I'm sure he'll see time at some point. So this just shows how good this squad is, and for the first time probably all season, Greg Vanney's got a little bit of a headache, but I wouldn't expect too many changes.
You know what I love here, though? I mean, the team went for a nice dinner. Everyone was together. There's a swagger around this team. They're not feeling like they're the underdogs heading into this match. Instead, they're kind of feeling like it's Toronto against everybody, and they have a bit of a chip on their shoulder.
There are far more questions when it comes to New York's starting 11 in their team than there is for Toronto FC. Look, Patrick Vieira, for me, took an absolute gamble ahead of that first leg, and it didn't pay off. All of a sudden there at the end of the season, he's making changes at the goalkeeper position. Josh Saunders is out. Johansson's in. Jason Hernandez, a vastly experienced player, he finds himself on the bench, as does Tommy McNamara. Both those players played over 2,000 minutes over the course of the season. Then you're making changes here at the tail end, and then all of a sudden Andrea Pirlo's not fit. Frank Lampard may not be a 90-minute player. Listen, for all New York's attacking prowess, they have some serious questions defensively. That's why, if I'm Vanney and company, I don't take my foot off the gas whatsoever. I attack them and force them into mistakes.
Well, especially with David Villa now being available for selection come this Sunday, all eyes are going to be on him. Everyone is looking towards him to be the saving grace for New York. Yeah,
our team did such a great job on him on such a big pitch, so I don't expect anything different. Hopefully Zavaleta and Nicky Hagelin will have him in their back pocket again, and it seems like TFC just keep raising their game in these big occasions. Yes, it's uncharted territories, but when you've got players like Michael Bradley, Josie Altidore, Javinko, and then seasoned MLS veterans like Drew Moore, you know, Will Johnson in the squad, the team's really raising their game. They're enjoying their time together, both on and off the field, and it's fantastic that in such big occasions that they're just stepping up.
Villa's a difference maker, though. He's a World Cup winner. He's a cut above most players in MLS, and there's good reason why he might receive a recall into the Spanish team. He may get his on the weekend, but it can't deter you. I mean, he scored 2 goals at Yankee Stadium against TFC early in the season. That's why it's incumbent. If TFC scores just 1 goal, it forces New York to go out there and get 4. That's a tall task. That's why I think if Toronto FC presses on, doesn't play too defensively, goes out there and looks to score goals, and we all know that Sebastian Javinko and Josie Altidore can score goals for fun, then it means good things. I look for this game to be highly entertaining. Maybe the match of this round of the MLS playoffs. There's goals to be had in this game, so don't be going out there looking for a clean sheet, because it probably won't happen.
The most important thing for me, and I'm sure you'll agree, is that whether we come out and we press at certain times or sit back in our blocks, that the team communicates and every single player defensively is on the same page. And we know that TFC are going to get opportunities. When you've got players like Javinko, Altidore, Cooper in midfield, who's so comfortable on the ball, Jonathan Osorio, who's now getting ahead of the front too, Morrow bombing up and down that left side on set pieces, all of a sudden now we look a threat. We will get chances.
Guys, can we just fast forward to Sunday? Like, this is killing me. I can't wait to head out there. Gareth Wheeler will be heading out as well. He will have the call on radio TSN 1050. If you can't tune in there, you can also tune in on television. That will be all taking place 6:30 p.m. So we will see you there.